know what is what.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is Cult of the Living Dead.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Cult of the Living Dead. This week, we are covering the 1974 horror classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. As always, I am your host, The Dale, followed by my two co-hosts, Mr. Saya
Buenos dias.
and Twan.
What up?
Just a quick reminder, guys, and for first-time listeners, we are a cult movie podcast. We cover cult classics, B-movies, and horror. None of us are academically trained in film critique, but we all love movies, so enjoy the ride. All right, so for this week, we are starting off our month-long Halloween Bonanza. So starting off with Twan's favorite Halloween movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we're going to change up the formula. Nice. No, it's a good dude. That was actually like spot on. That was pretty good.
Been practicing.
Oh, yeah. We're changing up the formula. So Twan's going to lead us through this movie since he knows it front to back. He also makes a very good Leatherface. We had an awesome maze back in the day where Twan scared the shit out of these cholos, which is fucking hilarious. All right, yeah, Twan, take it away.
So this week we're going to be covering my absolute favorite fucking horror movie, the one and only Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Before I get too excited and blow my load a little early, let me go ahead and fire off some of the cast and crew here.
Fire 'em.
Yeah, let's go. So this movie was released 50 years ago, in 1974.
Damn.
Yeah, 50 fucking years, and it still holds up to this day.
That's crazy. Did they do anything for like a 50th anniversary?
I think they came out with like a Blu-ray box set, like a steel case.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but happy 50th to this beautiful movie. This movie is short, has a quick runtime of an hour and 23 minutes. Was directed by Tobe Hooper. R.I.P. to the legend. He did pass August 26th of 2017. Hooper directed a couple different horror movies that are well known. He's probably most known for this movie, as well as the original Poltergeist, the one that came out in 1982. And he did, of course, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He also directed a couple TV episodes. He directed an episode of Tales from the Crypt. I also found out that Tobe Hooper directed the music video for Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
Banger.
No way.
Yeah, dude. I looked up the music video, and yeah, I can see there's like zombies in that music video. I had never seen it before. Like, I know the song, but I've never seen the music video. But yeah, he directed that music video. That's pretty funny. So it was written by Tobe Hooper and Kim Henkel. Henkel was most known for like all of his work in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre like world. He wrote or either helped write the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He did Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake with Jessica Biel, Texas Chainsaw, which came out in 2013. I think that was like...
Was that another remake?
Yeah, it was another remake. This one that came out in 2013 actually has the original Sally from this one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, and he also was he helped write Leatherface, the one that came out in 2017, the origin story one.
That one was cool.
And then he also helped write the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one that dropped on Netflix a couple years back, as well as the game. So this dude is like all about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, he fucking lives and breathes the massacre. And then we have the score that was done by Wayne Bell, who is still composing till this day.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's done the score for Scanner Darkly, which what do we do?
Waking Life.
Recently? Yeah, Waking Life. He did the score for Twister, a 1996 movie.
Classic.
And then he also did the score for most recently the movie Hitman. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. It stars the guy that's in the new Twister.
Yeah.
That one
Oh,
came
okay.
out a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
or like last year.
I remember.
Um,
Damn, this dude's in it still.
yeah, dude, for a minute. I mean, this movie itself is already 50 years old, and he did the score of a movie that came out last year. So this dude's been in it for a minute.
That's cool.
Yeah, so this film stars Marilyn Burns as Sally, who is also known for she was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. Like I said, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out in 2013, where she reprised her role as Sally Hardesty. We have Alan Danziger as Jerry, Paul A. Partian as Franklin, William Vale as Kirk, Terry McMinn as Pam, Jim Sido as the old man, or I knew him as the cook because that's what he's called in the video game.
That's right. He is called the cook.
Yeah. Edwin Neal as the hitchhiker, and then my boy Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface.
What shocked me about Gunner is he only Leatherface for this one movie?
Yeah, so him and Toby Hooper were like they beefed it a lot during the filming of this movie.
The working conditions are fucking terrible.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, just the conditions alone, I mean, I'm sure caused a lot of turmoil, but yeah, I don't think they meshed well. I did see that like during the scene the dinner scene,
Mhm.
because it was light out and they needed to make it dark inside. They had blackout curtains, and I think the temps got up to like 120 degrees.
Fuck.
And Toby Hooper is over there, like, being a director. And Gunner went on record saying that if he ever saw Toby Hooper again, he would fight him. Like, it's on site with that guy.
Damn. I mean, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said they didn't want to wash his costume or something because they tie-dyed it. So he had to wear the same shirt every day. It was consistently over 100 degrees. So it got so bad that when they weren't filming, nobody wanted to sit next to Gunner because he just smelled so bad.
Grimy.
I mean, it really adds to the I don't know,
character.
yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
fuck, I feel like Leatherface is a stinky boy.
He
Yeah.
looks smelly.
It does look smelly.
So when I was looking up the actors, I noticed that the actor who played the cattle truck driver at the end of the movie,
The guy with the beast ass throw.
yeah, that dude's name is Ed Gein.
Oh,
Crazy.
really?
Yeah, which is
Nice.
wild because Ed Gein, for those who don't know, is the killer who this basically inspired this movie and a couple of others. But yeah, I thought that was a weird coincidence.
I think
That
it's
is
pronounced-
crazy.
I think it's pronounced Geen.
Gein,
Yeah.
Ed
Ed
Gein.
Gein.
very similar.
Did that guy
He-
survive or do you think he died?
Dude, that guy
I
just
think-
ran off into the sunset.
Yeah, I think he survived because well, we'll talk about it at the end. I don't want to get too far ahead. Yeah.
We'll get
Right,
into
go
it later.
straight to the end. That's
Put
it.
a- we'll put
Thank
a
you guys
pin
for
in that.
listening. We'll catch you guys next week when we
They'll
do.
just fucking circumventing your whole like episode.
I know. It's
I
all
just had
good.
this thought. I was looking at it. I was like, did he survive? Because the movie just kind of ends.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to think that he survives.
Yeah, another thing about the working conditions is to add on real quick. I guess Ed Neal, the hitchhiker,
Hmm.
he said that it was so bad in the working conditions. He said it was the worst experience he ever had, and he fought in Vietnam where people were actively trying to kill him.
Dude,
Fuck.
I was like,
Imagine?
God damn, that must have been horrible. He's like, I'd rather be back in
This
Nam. Fuck
this is worse than Nom. Fuck. Well, I mean, it
What a statement.
made a fucking masterpiece of a movie.
That is really quite good.
Yeah. But that's crazy, man. To say filming conditions are worse than a fucking war, that says a lot. This movie, because of last week's episode and the fact that Barbarella's rated PG, I was really interested to see what this movie was rated, but it's a rated R. It's a hard R
It
rating.
is a hard R.
Even though for the type of movie that it is, the dialogue isn't like really explicit and there's no nudity, which is different because a lot of these slasher movies always have some titties, but
Well, there's not even
this
a lot
one.
of blood either.
Yeah, I mean,
Like dudes get chainsawed, and you'd think you'd see like blood splatter everywhere. Like in the later movies, it's a lot more gory.
yeah,
But this one's not that gory. They really dial it back.
yeah, dude, and only one person gets chainsawed in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's right, huh?
Yeah, it should have been called the Texas Sledgehammer Massacre.
Well, I heard they had a couple names. They originally were gonna call it Leatherface, and I forgot what the other one was that I read. But then they went with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It works. I like it.
I also think just for the time, because it was like one of the first, right? I think it came out before Halloween.
Yeah, 4 years before Halloween, 1 year after Exorcist.
Yeah, and so audiences weren't super used to like just aggressive words. The R is definitely for the violence that it depicts within the whole movie. Even though there's not a lot of blood, there's still a lot of violence and like
Oh,
just
this movie's creepy
terror.
as fuck.
Yeah.
It's so like
Macabre.
yeah, dude. It's so like icky.
Yeah.
Makes their skin crawl.
Everything
Yeah.
felt sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can feel the stickiness
Yeah, like
amongst the cast and the crew.
all the surfaces around my home became sticky after watching this movie. That's how intense it was.
Mm.
Should hit your house with a fucking blue light, bro. What are you talking about?
So let's get into our first impressions, shall we? Should I take point? Nah, I'm really interested to hear you guys' like whole take on this movie. So, let's go with Mr. Saya.
Yo,
History with this movie, first impressions.
yeah, I've seen this movie a lot. Probably not as much as you, but I've seen this movie a lot. To me, it's considered one of the classics. Well, I think in general it's considered a classic, but yeah, I've definitely seen this movie more times than I can count. But I think every time I see it, I get surprised by the movie itself because mean, we'll talk about it as we talk about it more. I mean, I'll mention it, but this movie kind of holds up for being as old as it is. Like it still depicts really great stuff within it. I've seen all the other Texas Chainsaw Massacres. I think I've seen the Jessica Biel one probably the most though, because Jessica Biel was pretty fine in that movie.
So fun.
Yeah, I don't even remember what year it came out, but I remember watching that movie like on repeat. I had
2003.
I had the DVD. Yeah, I had the DVD with the with like the metal chainsaw display.
Dude, nice.
I actually think I have it here somewhere. I gotta find it. Maybe I'll display that. It'll be a piece of art. Yeah, so I love all Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I was really excited. Also, this is the beginning of our spooky season. I fucking love spooky season, so this was a good way to start us off.
Hell yeah. What about you, Dale? History with this movie?
I've definitely seen this movie the least. And I think out of the big four, this is the one I saw last. So the big four for me, I guess, is this movie, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. This one, by far, I think is the scariest one. And I agree with Matt. It super holds up. When I first saw this movie, I remember being like, holy shit, this movie's hella brutal. This movie was made in 1974. Like this has some like modern like brutality that you see. Like I feel like a lot of horror movies like are like super, well, not so much anymore, but they were like really just like gory. Like I think I saw this movie around the time like Saw and Hostel were coming out. And I was like, oh shit, they've been doing this shit since like the 70s. Like that's crazy. And I really enjoyed it. I think I've seen this movie maybe about 10 times. And
Nice.
I've every time I watch it, I'm always like, fuck, I forget how fucking creepy this movie is. And how like good the acting is. Especially Marlon Burns as Sally. She does like an incredible job. And the hitchhiker dude is super fucking unsettling. He plays such a good job at being like this fucking weird, unhinged dude. And then I
Yeah.
think out of all the out of all the like main dudes, Leatherface, there's just something about this unstoppable killing machine who's wearing someone else's skin, just like fumbling around, murdering, and just like instantly on sight is just like murdering people. Like Michael Myers will like stare you down and like walk away. And you're like, what the fuck was that? But like Leatherface sees you and he's immediately just trying to fucking kill you. And
On
it's
site.
something there's something so
Yeah,
fucking crazy about that.
dude's a fucking menace. Nice.
He
Fuck
is
yeah.
though, isn't he? Literally
Huh?
a menace to society. Like the cops have to hunt him down because that's how much of a menace he is.
Dude's wild. He's unhinged. He's the definition of unhinged. All right, so yeah, my introduction to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise came with the remake, with the Jessica Biel one that came out in 2003.
Same. I saw that
Um,
one first too.
yeah, I was 12 when I saw it, and like that movie was the first movie that ever like legit gave me nightmares. I remember vividly waking up in the middle of the night thinking that I was hearing chainsaws outside of my window. Um, and it
Damn.
scared the living shit out of me. Yeah. Uh, and I don't know what it was about that and that feeling and like the fact that a movie made me feel that way that I just, that's probably where I got my love for horror. I didn't see this one, the original, until maybe like junior, senior year in high school, and just fucking fell in love with it. You know, it's gritty, it's gory, and you know, they mention it a couple of times, but it's macabre. Um, I've seen this movie at the very least once a year since seeing it for the first time back in fucking '08 or something like that. Yeah, it's my personal all-time favorite horror movie, and I was nothing but fucking excited to watch it for the pod and share my love for this movie with you boys. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, let's shall we get into it?
Take us there. Let's get it.
All right.
Tell
All
us the
right.
story. Bring
I'm
us
gonna
into the world.
yeah, let me set the scene. Let me set the scene for you boys. So the year is 1973. A low budget cast and crew is set to start filming during the summer months in the sweltering Texas heat. Given $60,000, Toby Hooper and his crew set out to make one of the best horror films to date. This crew is met with constant hurdles and unfit working conditions, but the results we are given is honestly, a true work of art. I feel, my opinion. But yeah, so the film starts with a narrator explaining the story that we're about to see unfold. Um, I don't know about you boys, but like movies that start this way, that like give the audience like this sense of reality, like this could be real, like it could have actually happened. I love that shit. Another movie that does this type of like intro is The Fourth Kind, which is another great movie with Mila Jokovic. You know, it starts out with her coming out and like basically talking to the audience, like, "Hey, what you're about to see is real." But yeah, the narrator goes on to explain the story, and then we're met with the black screen, and we just hear noises. It sounds like someone's digging with a shovel, and then we get hit with that iconic ass noise. That noise is so like ear piercing and just terrifying.
Mhm.
Like I never knew what it was at first. Like when I was younger, I never knew cameras sounded like that. But yeah,
Like
that
old school
noise.
cameras, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the bulb going off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we hear someone digging, we get that sound, and with the flash of a camera, we're shown different like parts of a decomposing body. And then in the very next scene, we're shown like almost like this altar was built of a decomposed body, like a desecrated grave. All while in the background you hear like a like news radio story going on, and it's basically telling you about the bodies that were mangled, and it was like a work of art that was done at the cemetery. And yeah, just in the first 5 minutes, dude, we're like introduced to the underlying theme of this movie, which is just like gross, icky shit, like you said earlier. But yeah, the news story continues through, the opening credits roll through. I don't know. I love this intro. What did you boys think of it?
Oh, I'm right there with you, dude. I love a movie that starts off with how when they use like real news footage or like narration
Mhm.
to like set the scene for the film. Like I love when who else 28 Days Later does it. Fucking what's the Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead does
Dawn of
it.
the Dead. Yeah.
Children of Men do it. Like I love when they do this, and then it's like about like the debauchery of the world and all this shit. And then when you get hit with this altar, it's like holy shit! Like that altar, dude, is so creepy, and it like has really I don't know what it's supposed to symbolize for the rest of the movie. I know it's tying into the news report of like the grave robbers and people making like these fucked up, like doing this fucked up shit with bodies.
Yeah.
But that it really sets the scene for like, oh, we're gonna be seeing some shit in this movie because it's within the first like 30 seconds. Cool little fact: the guy who did the narration that tells you like the story you're about to see actually happened.
Mhm.
They paid that guy in a joint.
Yo, that's sick.
Oh yeah, dude. That's awesome. I mean, like in the moment that's cool, but I'm sure that dude like hated his life after how successful this movie was.
And this movie made like $30 million, so
I
I'm pretty
know.
sure he wanted a little cut of that.
For
He's
real.
got a fucking stress joint,
Yeah.
not
I
even chronic.
I also really like I like the intro and kind of I mean it says that the what we're about to see is based on like a true story or something like that. I like intros like that. I like things that make you like they immerse you into the world, right? Like Blair Witch did that really well. This movie, like you said, Fourth Kind. There's a few movies that can like kind of pull it off. And I think I'm sure, especially for the time that this came out, people were probably like, "Oh, damn, there's some crazy shit going on in Texas." Because I mean, we were all there was, I think in the '70s there was a lot of like wild shit going on anyway, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it really puts you in the mood, in the zone for everything that's about to transpire. I love that shit.
Yeah. And to touch on what you said, Dale, so about the altar and everything, the guy Ed Gein, who, the actual killer, I guess
Mhm.
that was his thing. He only actually killed two people, or at least
But they
I
know
don't
of.
know. Yeah, that they know of. But his thing was digging up graves, and yeah, he was like a grave robber, and he would fucking fuck with the corpses. So I think that was maybe a nod to the source material.
I mean, and well, then I think they mention it later on in the film that it was the hitchhiker that was doing it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, when at the end when he's coming home, we
Yeah,
find out that it was
and the cook said kicking his ass. Don't you stay away from that damn graves.
yeah, and he was the one that was taking the pictures. So we find out later that yeah, he has a camera.
That's
But
right. In the remake, don't they start it off with like a news crew going to the house and then Leatherface
yeah,
like coming out and killing him?
dude,
That's how they
Yeah.
start.
that shit, like that intro, like not to knock the original, but like that intro was fucking terrifying, especially being a kid.
Dude,
Fuck.
and it's so funny rewatching this and then like because like they've redone this movie so many times, so like my memory now is kind of like misremembering certain things.
Mhm.
Like, oh, isn't this supposed to happen next? I'm like, oh no, that was in the other one. not in
Yeah.
this one. Because when they're taking the picture, I'm like, oh, that's right. The cops show up. Like, this is take them responding to her. And I'm like, no. That was the Jessica Biel one. That wasn't in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the sheriff, that drill sergeant
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that remake, I mean, as much as I love this movie and I bang for this movie, um the remake is probably the best out of the remakes of the big
Of the
four, as
big
you
four.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I also saw that it's like a direct like screenplay adaptation, so it makes sense. Yeah. And then we get to our first actual scene. Well, first it shows us the dead armadillo, which is just I feel like it just adds to the whole like showing the audience things that like they don't really want to see, you know?
Trying to make you
Like
uncomfortable.
yeah. And so it shows the dead armadillo, then we get introduced to the gang. We see we see Franklin come out in his fucking wheelchair. You know, this movie is very ahead of its time. Shout out to the handy capable community. And yeah, it's just another thing that we don't want to see. We you know, we're shown that this poor dude in the wheelchair has to piss in a can on the side of the road. It's like just one uncomfortable scene after the other. Truck passes by, fucking honks its horn for some crazy reason, makes Franklin roll down the hill. He gets all fucked up. Um,
I think
yeah,
he's honking his horn at the girls because they all hop out of the van.
uh, makes sense.
I know. I saw that. I was like, damn, they just made this poor wheelchair guy fall down a hill for no reason.
Real.
He got fucked up right away. I
Is it
mean,
fucked up that in my notes I have him listed as wheels?
n-
I did I
I
did
fucking hated Franklin, dude. He sucks.
I did like they made it such a point to even in the intro they're like invalid brother, like they like make it like fucking they want you to know that this guy is in a wheelchair and he's not getting around. What was going on at that in the world at that time, and like why did they just fuck this dude up? Like even after this, I think he gets into the truck and his hair's all disheveled. Like he just looks like fucking crazy at all points in time. Like it's kind of wild, even though it's ahead of its time because they have like a dude who's in a wheelchair.
mhm.
Um, they make him like a little monster in a way in like my eyes because he's just like he's not like one of the other people. You know what I mean? He's kind of like weird and like yeah. It's interesting.
He is an interesting fella, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely not like the other people. He can't fucking walk.
Yeah.
No, dude. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. I wonder what like Hooper's like I don't know idea what like for this character was because like not only do you handicap him, but then you fuck him up right away,
Yeah.
and then you continuously fuck him up throughout the movie.
Yeah, for real.
Like, it's that was a choice that was made. But yeah, so we get back in the van. I think it's Pam. She busts out her fucking astrology book and is talking about the stars and astrology and all that shit. Then they end up at the graveyard, which was mentioned at the beginning of the film. And I guess Sally and Franklin are there because well, the whole trip is around them, like what going back to their old family house, and uh, they stop by the graveyard because they want to see if it's their grandfather's grave that got dug up because they keep hearing about it on the radio. There, we get introduced to some random characters that don't really serve the movie in any way. We see that drunk old man who's just he's basically warning them. I mean, if you think about it, they got warned a couple times. They got warned by this guy, the old man, who's saying things happen here that they don't tell about. So, like, this dude knows, probably the whole town knows about this family. Yeah, so the fucking old man, he warns them. That scene, I mean, nothing really important happened there. But then they get back into the van. They they're driving down, and then they start to smell. They smell they smell a smelly smell,
With a slaughterhouse.
smelly smell that smells smelly, and it's the it's the cows in the slaughterhouse. And during this scene, we're given a random piece of dialogue from Franklin. And he's talking about how they used to kill the cows back in the day. You know, they would bash them in the head with a sledgehammer, and then they moved on from that, and they started using like a compressed needle. And the whole time he's like acting out the thump sh. It's like very over the top. Like I don't know. Franklin's character was something else.
It was right. I told you.
Yeah.
He's an asshole, dude. Franklin sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but also like he's traveling along with his sister's boyfriend, their like friend and their friend's boyfriend. Like they're like he's like odd man out in this whole
He's
movie.
the literal fifth wheel.
Yeah,
He fucking doubles down on it though by being all weird and shit.
he does. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was that was like a choice by the writers to make his character like that. They made him really weird. Why they got to do the wheelchair dude like that?
I wonder how he got into the wheelchair. Like, was it a birth thing, or was it
Maybe.
an accident?
It was when he was a kid, he was wandering around and baby Thomas was also wandering around and had a little hammer and just fucking whacked his legs out.
So yeah, then they pick up the hitchhiker, and this is where things get like so fucking unsettling. Franklin says, "I think we just picked up Dracula."
He's just
which I
a dick.
That was fucking hilarious, dude. Oh man. Oh yeah, but then we get introduced to the hitchhiker. This is our first introduction to how crazy, like, I guess this family is gonna be. The hitchhiker goes on to like explain about head cheese. Just another one of those things, like, not a lot of people know what head cheese is. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience during that time didn't know what head cheese was. They probably just ate it. But yeah, it's head cheese is like when you boil the head and you get all the, like, what is it, like the gelatin, like the skin and the fat and everything. I've never had head cheese. I don't know about you guys.
I've never had head cheese.
I've never had it.
I've had Sweato before,
What's that?
or what is it called? Something. I've had cow's brain. I ate that
Oh,
in Mexico
like
recently.
Cabeza?
No, cabeza is the meat around the head, but they eat the brain.
How was that? Was it tender?
It was interesting.
Was it chewy?
No, it wasn't chewy. Oh, seso, that's what it's called. Tacos de seso. It's a brain taco. It's weird. It's kind of grainy, but also mushy at the same time. Think like the really cheap packets of chorizo.
Okay.
It's kind of like that.
Like, yeah. That's, I don't know.
It's a little mushy.
Grainy and mushy sounds like two things that shouldn't be together.
I think it's because sometimes there's like little bone fragments in
You
it.
don't like grits?
I don't like grits
either. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say I love grits.
Nah, fuck grits.
Oh man. But yeah, has that ever happened to you guys where like you like something and then you find out what it actually is and then you no longer like it anymore?
No,
No.
that's never happened to me.
Nah, I'm a big boy. I love food.
Oh, that happened to my little sister when we were younger. She used to really like clam chowder until she found out that there was actual clams in it.
And then she stopped liking it.
And then she stopped liking it. She never ate it again.
What did she think was in there?
I don't know. She was like fucking 5 or 6.
Oh,
It was it was just like one of those things.
yeah.
Like, we would go to Sizzler a lot, and once she found out that there was actually clams in clam chowder, she said, "Nah."
No, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'll pass
that
on
was
that.
it for her.
I just want regular chowder, no clam.
But yeah, so this whole scene, hitchhiker grabs Franklin's knife and ends up cutting his fucking palm with it just randomly out of nowhere.
Wants to fucking strike fear.
Just for the sake of striking fear. Like,
Mhm.
imagine if that's how you tested out knives, like as a
Just like
consumer.
slicing your hand.
It's just like,
It's a good knife.
going to Big Five. Can I see that knife? Shh. Oh yeah, that's a great knife here. Yeah, so he cuts his fucking palm and then he takes out his knife, right? And he's like, I have this knife. And he's just looking around, waiting for someone to say something. No one says anything. And then he pops out his camera, takes a picture of Franklin, and then asks if he could be dropped off at his house. And then he invites them to dinner. They say fuck no, because why the hell would you go to dinner with this crazy guy who just cut his fucking palm in your van? Yeah, he tries to charge Franklin for the picture that he never asked to be taken, ends up burning the photo, causes a fucking giant ruckus, uses his knife, and I this is the point where I thought the hitchhiker might be like a little on the spectrum, because like everyone is yelling, it's loud in the van, and he's probably overstimulated and doesn't know what to do and like panics and just is like, I gotta slice something, and grabs Franklin's hand and fucking slices his arm, because I don't know why else he would do that.
I like that.
It's pretty fucking unhinged and crazy.
I like trying to rationalize it in 2024 with 2024 ideas of this dude might be on the spectrum. He's probably overstimulated. He had to fucking get out of the van, so he just cut the closest dude next to him.
Insane.
Love that shit, dude. Hell yeah.
Insane.
We gotta start doing rationalizing movies like this from now
Oh
on.
man.
So, something that I thought was even more insane than him cutting his arm is that he asked him for $2 for the picture, right?
Yeah.
You know how much that is in today's money?
Like $20.
$14.
God damn.
Imagine someone taking a picture with you with like a disposable camera or like a Polaroid, and it's like, here, $15, please. Like, what the fuck? Get that shit out of my face.
I also like that when they tell him no, the hitchhiker pulls out a little piece of foil. He puts the picture on the piece of foil, gets a little bit of was it gunpowder, and then lights it up. And when it catches fire, he just closes it like a little book and puts it back in his pocket. Like, all right, time to get out of here.
And his
That's pretty
satchel is
brilliant.
crazy. It's like made out of rabbit or squirrel or something.
Yeah,
Some type of small mammal.
he hunted that for sure.
Or it was roadkill. He seems like a guy that picks up road. Oh, well, I mean, he is that type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this whole scene is just fucking unhinged. Like I don't know. This is a crazy introduction to, like, I guess, the family. Because the hitchhiker is just such an insane character overall.
He's a psycho, dude. He's like that whole like car ride is fucking ridiculous in like all the ways that aren't good.
Yeah. And
And he cuts Franklin, like the only guy that was being kind of nice to him.
For real, Franklin gets fucked by
called
everybody.
him Dracula right off
Yeah,
the
but-
rib.
And then they had that whole conversation about the slaughterhouse.
True. Oh yeah. And the
Yeah,
hitchhiker's
cheese.
like, yeah, no, the gun's no good. Takes people's jobs. And we
Well-
find out that he was the killer, right?
Mhm.
He was the one that would kill the cows. And I like how after all that shit went down, Pam decides that it's a fucking great time to break out the book of horoscopes.
Honestly, there's no better time to bring it out than when something bad happens.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
explain it somehow.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't write down what exactly she wrote, but I knew it tied into like what they either experienced or what they were about to experience.
I think she was reading for Pam, and it said something like you're not gonna believe what's in front of your eyes, or you're gonna have to pinch yourself to make sure that what you're seeing is real, or something like that. It's mad foreshadowing. Like it foreshadows for sure.
All right. So they read some horoscopes, and then they have to pull over because they see a gas station and they need gas. And this is when we're introduced to the old man or the cook. They ask for gas. Old man's like, we don't got any fucking gas. Why don't you guys come in, have some barbecue? And this is where we find out that that Franklin and Sally are there to go see their old childhood home. They ask the old man for some directions, and he warns them. They get another warning to like not go poking around, that they don't want to go messing around in no old house.
I was wondering about the old man's because he warns them,
Mm-hmm.
and like he later comes back. Do you think he was being honest, or do you think he was trying to set them up?
I think he was trying to set them up because he kept saying like, stay here, have some barbecue, like, wait until the gas comes. So I feel like they all have their own ways of, eating, I guess we can say. So yeah, I definitely think that he was trying to set them up.
What was in the barbecue?
Human meat.
The former people who stopped there.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Because you see, like they get him the barbecue, right? He's like, "Oh, I got us some barbecue," and then while Franklin's eating it, he like makes a look, like he looks at it, like tastes weird, and then he just like takes another bite
Yeah.
out of it. And I was like, "Oh, is that people?"
It's definitely people.
Yeah.
People ground up and put into sausages. Because that's what he's chewing in the next scene. But yeah, so they find out where the Franklin place is. They drive out there, which it looked like in its heyday, that house was like really fucking nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they get there. Franklin's chewing on that fucking sausage that looks like a dick. And is that what people do? Like, or is that what they did back then? They just chewed on sausage like that, and like in the casing.
Yeah, you don't do
Because
that?
he was like chewing on it like it was like a piece of wheat.
Never
I
just,
wonder if it was like a hard sausage.
What the fuck is a hard sausage?
or maybe
There's
like
different
a
types of sausages.
like a beef jerky, like a beef jerky sausage.
Mm. Is that? Oh, okay. Yeah, like a really thick, slim Jim, like a thick Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've had like they'll
Yeah.
show like summer sausage, and it looks like
Mhm.
a hot link, and it's like shelf stable, like it's not refrigerated, and it's like, yeah, it's almost like beef jerky, but a little different. It's a little meatier.
Hmm.
I think once you open it, you have to refrigerate them, but like, yeah, when you just like chew on it.
I don't know if I'd be down to just chew on meat like that.
I think it's pretty good. I like salty foods.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's enjoying it too well. He's like chewing on it and like spitting shit out.
Mm-hmm.
Probably chunky.
They get to the house. Everyone's checking out the place. The couples, of course, couple up. We see Franklin outside, just left to fend for himself. Like just another one of those instances where Franklin is just fucked over because everyone left him out by the van, and he had to roll himself up the ramp, get himself into the house. And then when he finally gets inside the house, he hears everyone being all laughing and, having a good time. And yeah. And then we see Franklin just spitting everywhere for no reason.
That's throwing a fucking tantrum, dude.
Yeah. Because they left them.
It was this scene that made me fucking hate Franklin so much.
It's
It's like, Dick, you got arms? Fucking roll your ass in there. You can fucking wheel yourself. They gotta push your ass everywhere.
damn, dog.
I mean, dude, he's a grown ass man. He's not like an old lady that doesn't have the arm strength to like wheel himself.
True, but like, I
It
don't
was
know.
a flat
It's like,
surface.
why? It's
Hey,
his fault, huh?
Joe Swanson does it.
True.
Joe
baby
Swanson.
Dude,
And I think this scene tells
Joe
us that
Swanson's a
Franklin has
cop.
been.
he's a cop.
He's a good, like he just trains his body. Franklin doesn't look like he trains anything other than his mouth to eat food.
Mhm.
Yeah, he is a little fat boy.
The fact that the house has a ramp tells me that Franklin's been in the wheelchair for a minute.
Yeah, because they say later when he's talking like, oh yeah, there's a watering hole, like a swimming area. They're like, oh cool, and he's like, just take that trail in between those two sheds, and when the couple's going, they're all like, man, where's this watering hole? They're like, you know damn well no one pushed Franklin up and down this hill the whole time. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So it's like, oh, okay, he must have been in a chair for a minute.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so it's Kirk and Pam, they split. They go to the creek or to the watering hole. And then this is when Franklin sees the animal bone wind chime and like the little totem like nest thing. And he fucking starts yelling for Sally. Sally.
He's the younger brother, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not too sure, but
he
seems like
looks older, but he acts like a young sibling.
They get to the watering hole. It's all dried up, and Kirk kind of sees off, or he hears that there's a generator going on, and like pretty fucking close neighbors to them is a farmhouse. Yeah, this is where stuff starts to like actually pop off. So Kirk and Pam.
Do you think they're that close? I feel like it's got to be at least a mile.
Nah,
maybe half a mile, a couple acres for sure.
I guess. I don't know how many acres in a mile or how many
miles in an acre.
How many McDonald's can you put in that space?
I'm basing it off of like later when Sally's running away. She's running for a while. Like in a full terrified sprint.
Yeah.
So if you're sprinting, like you can cover some ground. Like a good, like if you're sprinting a mile, you can do a mile in like
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Yeah.
That's true.
And if you're and she's sprinting for damn near 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe bring logic into this, you son of a bitch.
Maybe it is. Well, I mean, you did.
I mean, that is close.
The hitchhiker on the spectrum, so we're trying to rationalize,
the distance of everything.
Yeah. All right. So okay, let's say it's a couple miles away, but they're still neighbors. Like
no, they're neighbors. I wouldn't even say a couple miles. I'd say like maybe like 3 or 4 acres.
So however many miles.
which is how many miles?
How many miles? What's the mile to acre ratio?
Is it 3 acres per mile? Is it like feet to yards?
How many drive-through Starbucks can you put in that?
Damn. Well, it is in a square, but it's 640 acres is 1 mile.
Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Wow. Okay.
So about 2 acres. Pam and Kirk, they walk up because they hear the generator and they're like, "Oh, generator means they have gas. We need gas for the truck. Let's see if these kind Texas neighbors who love trespassers on their property will give us gas." They walk up to the porch, and then a tooth just happens to fall out of nowhere. And at that point, Kirk, what does he do? He's just knocking on the door, and then it opens, right?
Yeah, he just sees an open door. He's like, might as well go inside.
Yeah. He does the ultimate white person thing and just walks into somebody else's house. Because they really want that gas. And this is when we get our first look at like the entryway of the house with all the animal bones or the animal heads.
Yeah.
What was the trophies? This part happens so fucking fast. Like it's so crazy how he just stumbles like 1, 2 steps and then bam, we get our first look at Leatherface. And everything happens so quickly and so silently. He smacks him in the head with the fucking sledgehammer. Kirk falls to the floor. And I think this is the first time, I don't know, I could be wrong. I didn't really do any investigative journalism on this. But I think this might have been the first time we saw someone like convulsing after being hit in the head in a movie. So this death was pretty
realistic,
yeah, like pivotal. I don't know, like it changed the game. It added like a sense of reality like that hadn't been seen on film before,
Yeah.
Because yeah, this dude is convulsing like crazy, which is unsettling to see. Just another, just add. This movie just keeps adding onto the like the like hard to watch aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you boys think of our introduction to my boy Leatherface, and as well as the first kill?
Terrifying.
Such a classic scene that's like just shown in clips everywhere. You go to like Universal Studios Horror Nights, and like it's one of the clips that they use to on the tram, like where like you just see it everywhere. One of those like awesome terror scenes, and it happens so fast, and it's so brutal for its time.
I love the use of sound too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You hear two thumps, the hammer hitting his head, his body hitting the floor, and then you hear just the sliding door slam shut,
hmm
and like it's just silence after that.
Mhm.
I love the lack of sound used, because normally we get like a sharp like violin, or like I don't know. This seemed like it would warrant like a jump scare moment, but I love the fact that they didn't go that route, or Toby Hooper didn't go that route, and just like kept it raw, visceral almost, just like fuck, what the hell did we just see? Because it happens so fast. It's like
Yeah.
bang, 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 done. Like, and then silence, and we're like, as the audience, you're left like questioning, like, did that really happen? I love this movie. I love that scene. So good.
That's it's one of the scarier deaths in the movie for sure. I feel
Yeah.
like this scene and the one that happens right after with Pam
Uh-huh.
are probably the two most iconic scenes of the whole film.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Pam from the outside hears the door slam, the sliding door, and of course, as a white person, she feels the need to investigate further and walk into somebody else's property. She's being a fucking nosy bitch, walking around trying to find Kirk, and ends up tripping and falling into the living room. We see that this living room is filled with like feathers and bones, and there's a chicken in a
Bones.
cage that's way too fucking small, and then a couch made of bones, like
There's
just
a
very
there's a turtle shell.
oh yeah,
Oh
there's a
yeah, there's
fucking
just a
turtle
turtle
shell.
shell.
Yeah, it's just
That whole room is fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
like
I know it's supposed to be like horrific, but I did laugh when the turtle shell like shows up, because it's like she falls, she trips, she notices that there's like feathers everywhere. She looks around, she sees bones, human bones, a chair of bones, hanging bones, and then a dead turtle shell. And then she turns and there's more bones, and then you see a chicken. It's like there's just one turtle made it out there and it died.
And the crazy part too is I guess like they got actual like
Turtles?
animal blood and shit and all that stuff and just put it all over the wall. So it just smelled fucking rancid in there.
oh
Damn.
man.
Like they use
Method.
real fucking shit, which
Yeah.
is on top of how horrible the conditions were.
Yeah, that sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's rough.
Oh, I mean, it makes sense why she's freaking out when she falls in there. Probably smells like ass. But yeah, so she gets super startled, starts to like back her way slowly out of the living room. And as she's slowly making her way back out, our boy Leatherface just happens to open up the sliding door. And I like how they both like freeze for a moment and look at each other, and they're like, what the fuck? And then Pam just tries her best to book it, but unbeknownst to her, Leatherface is a certified track star, and he fucking catches
Fast
her
as fuck,
right
boy.
as she steps out the door.
Yeah.
And then this is another one of those iconic scenes where it's like he just grabs her, overpowers her, takes her back into the farmhouse, and she gets the worst of it, I think, out of anyone. She gets hung on a meat hook by her back. Just sounds so horrible.
I mean, this scene's so iconic that like Dead by Daylight, like the video game, like that's the way you catch people.
True.
You hang people
Yeah.
on meat hooks.
That's crazy. So, little piece of trivia. I read that the actress who played Pam couldn't be on that hook apparatus for like more than a minute at a time. Like it was so uncomfortable.
Damn,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
So would they just film like clips of her on that and then just stitched it together?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they don't really show her too, um, like she's not on the hook for too long because it's a quick
No, it's
scene.
really
Like she
it's a
gets
really quick
hooked
scene.
and then,
He grabs the chainsaw and walks over and starts chainsawing.
yeah,
Mhm. Apparently, they said that she had the most comfortable outfit because she was supposed to be dressed similar to Sally, but then the
mhm,
director's like, I don't know, try short shorts. He's like, all right, cool, that works better. So she was the one that had like the only functional costume on the whole set because everyone else had to keep wearing their pants and those long sleeve
uh,
hippie shirts the whole time.
And she died second.
Hmm.
So she didn't have to last through the whole thing.
got another little piece of random trivia. So the guy that played Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen, he had to wear like platform shoes so that he could appear taller than the cast, and so that's why he like clomps when he runs, or like he sounds heavier than he actually is.
Hmm.
That's cool. It works.
Yeah, hearing that heaviness coming after you.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it definitely works. It gives his body weight.
Yeah.
We're back with Sally, Franklin, and Jerry, who are at the van, and they're like tripping because the sun's going down. Pam and Kirk aren't back. And then Jerry decides, "Hey guys, you know what? I'm gonna go look. You guys stay here." And we get like a little bit of dialogue between Franklin and Sally. And Franklin, the whole time, like this whole conversation, he's just ruminating on the fucking hitchhiker, and he's like, so like he thinks that the hitchhiker is still following them, and he's out to get him. And he just I don't know. He has like the whole like woe is me mentality throughout this whole
Whole movie.
conversation.
I mean, before
Yeah, the
that,
whole
when
movie. Yeah,
Pam and Kirk are getting murdered, he's
Mhm.
just complaining about not knowing where his knife is.
True. That's right.
Just like
Yeah,
complaining about it.
I forgot about that part. Yeah, and he makes fucking Sally try to look for it, and she's like, I can't find it.
Like I gave it to you last, Sally. You had it. It's like,
Yeah,
fuck.
that's a pretty good Franklin. So yeah, Jerry makes his way over to the farmhouse. He sees the blanket that Pam and Kirk had with them. And then he just, follows suit and decides to walk into somebody else's house. But I think he's hearing like noises, almost like sounded
Muffled.
like giggling, right? Like someone
Mhm.
was laughing. Because I wrote this down. I guess he said, "Quit goofing on me."
Yeah.
Um, so he thinks that they're playing a joke on him. Um, and he's the only one that really gets to like explore the
Farmhouse.
farmhouse because he ends up walking into the room where Pam was previously hooked, and he's hearing like this noise, this jangling banging coming out of the freezer. This part, this part was pretty funny. The way Pam like springs up out of the freezer kind of seemed a little unnatural because she's like starts waving her hands all crazy and like yelling. I don't know if she's yelling or if it's Jerry who's yelling, but someone's
Someone's
yelling.
yelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's yelling. Someone's freaking out.
Someone's yelling. And all that yelling, good old Tism boy starts like being overwhelmed, and he's like, and then he goes and fucking sledgehammers Jerry. He's one and done dead. And I think this is where we get like some sort of emotion from Leatherface, because he almost seems like uh like he did something wrong, because he's like
Yeah.
pacing back and forth, he's making noises, he's like looking out the window checking to see if someone's coming home, and then he sits down, and this is where we get another iconic like clip of like we get to actually see Leatherface and his teeth, and then he's like licking his teeth, and just I don't know, he has this like 1,000-yard stare off into the distance. But I guess the Gunner had those teeth specially made for him. Those weren't his real teeth. I thought those were his real teeth all these years.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I just
he's
I don't know.
Scandinavian. I assume that they have like really good healthcare. So
Oh, damn, I didn't didn't look too much into it. That's cool.
I just put Thomas Ponders.
Mm,
I thought this scene was interesting because he is like kind of freaking out, having like a little like panic attack.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, what have I done? Like, oh God, killed 3 of them. Here I go killing again. And I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh yeah, was like killing the first 2 was like that's fine, but the third one was like he's like fuck. Like
He's running out of space.
Like I think I got a problem here, guys.
He suddenly became self-aware.
I can't stop killing people for some reason.
or maybe he's like he looks out the window. He's like, fuck, how many of these fucking people are there?
Yeah.
Why do all these people keep wandering into my home uninvited?
Right. He could technically what's that law?
Texas is a stand your ground state.
Yeah, there you go. Stand your ground.
He was standing his ground.
None of these were crimes. None of them.
That's true. Actually, technically, that is true.
That's mildly terrifying. And it takes place in Texas.
I think chainsawing somebody into pieces in your like slaughter room in the basement.
That's illegal.
That's a crime.
Wait,
I don't.
Is it? But like,
yeah. Like you can't.
They're already dead.
Yeah, you can't dismember
a body like that.
Dismembering's against the law.
Even if it's on your own property and
then keeping a girl on ice in a chest freezer, I don't think you're allowed to do that either.
Yeah, he was doing the cops a favor.
He was doing the coroner a favor. He's like, I don't want to go rancid.
Yeah, and then he was freaking out because, like I said, he was running out of space. He had no place to put Jerry,
the third body.
Yeah, they cap out at 2 bodies.
Maybe that's why he was pondering
the chest freezer.
He was like, how am I gonna cut this up now? Like, what kind of food do I need to make now? You know, maybe that's why he was freaking out.
You should have started meal prepping.
I think this is the scene that I read that Gunner tried to have some lines, but he was met with ridicule from Toby Hooper, who like said, no, your character is not that intelligent or something along those lines.
Yeah, I read that too.
Like they had to cut it out, and he's like, fuck, my only chance at having a line in this movie.
That kind of sucks, but also I feel like it did make for good movie. Like,
yeah,
it probably would have been different if Thomas was like way more cognizant and like I don't know, like it would have made like a completely different movie. I think for what it is, I think it ended up playing out really well, but it does suck that this guy like didn't get a chance to really do any like lines. But I think his like acting is still iconic though, right? Like we all know Leatherface basically because of this guy. Like this guy embodies Leatherface for this whole movie.
We're back at the van with Franklin and Sally, and by this time it's already nighttime. They're freaking out. They're worried because Jerry hasn't come back. Pam and Kirk are still gone. It's at this point that Franklin is the only one
rational
with like
one.
Yeah. He's the only one thinking logically because he just wants to dip. He's like, look, we're gonna honk the horn, and if they don't come in 5 minutes, let's leave. But of course, Sally's like, that's my man. What happened to my friends? Because they're like her friends, right? Like Franklin's just tagging along this whole time, so he doesn't give a fuck about these people. So yeah, of course, Sally's like, I'm gonna go. She fucks off. Franklin doesn't want to be there by himself, so he tries to roll away after her. After some shouting, and some convincing, Sally ends up having to push his ass. Anyways, yeah, they're making their way along the road. Of course, they run into Leatherface, and poor Franklin meets his demise. Finally, gets chainsawed. He's the only person in this movie that gets chainsawed, that gets killed by chainsaw. Yeah.
Also, Thomas put a silencer on his chainsaw, right? When he pulls up and he stabs Franklin with the chainsaw,
Mhm.
there's no sound before that. Like they're just wandering through the desert
Well,
forest.
well, Franklin hears him. Like, there's multiple times where he's like, "Hold up, Sally, I hear something," and she's just like
Mm.
pushing along. He's like, "Sally, I hear something." He's like, "Wait, wait," and they finally stop. He's like, "No, I hear something," and then Leatherface just pops into the scene and just fucking murders him like immediately.
But I feel like a chainsaw is such a recognizable noise. Like,
Not when it's just idle. It just sounds like a weed whacker
Mm.
because it only makes the noise when
Well,
you pull the trigger.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the sound of the saw going. But when it's not, it's just like a low rumbling noise, like a weed whacker or like a lawnmower or something like that.
that's true.
Yeah. And then too, that generator that they had going on at the farmhouse was pretty loud too. So it
Yeah, that generator is
could
loud
have
as
been
fuck.
masking the idle sound of the chainsaw.
Because they
Yeah.
probably have very similar sounds. It's just the chainsaw is just like a very smaller engine.
Yeah, that's true. All right, never mind. He didn't have a silencer.
Or he's just really quick to turn it on.
Yeah, he leveled up that turn on perk.
Oh yeah.
Damn, half second.
Instant on.
I don't know about you guys when we were watching the movie and they got to the farmhouse. I
Mhm.
was like, man, they did a great job of recreating the farmhouse in the game.
Oh, dude, it was
Yeah.
spot on. Everything, like the design of the fucking generator, the sunflower garden, like all the cars, like
The
yeah,
inside, like
they did
all
a
of it.
really fucking good job. So Franklin dies, and then Sally takes off. She just books it into the woods. She's put through the ringer. She has to like crawl through all this like dead bush and all these branches, and oh man, that shit just looks super painful.
I heard she actually got cut up in real life.
Damn. Yeah, I don't doubt it. That like the woods that she was crawling through look sharp.
And
Yeah.
during this whole thing, she's screaming like
Mhm.
murder at the top of her lungs while she's running full speed. Like, I don't think Sally
Iconic
doesn't
scream.
she doesn't stop screaming until the end of the movie. Like, I think
Yeah, she's just screaming the whole time.
she's still screaming when the movie like ends. It turns into like a different kind of scream at the very end, but she like
Yeah.
from this whole act is just Sally screaming, which is so fucking crazy. I think that adds to like the terror of it because like Twan mentioned before, there's like no music, like there's no like additional sound other than the chainsaw and Sally screaming and their footsteps of like running.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty intense for it being a 70s movie.
So the reason why they did that is the director wanted to keep the music like minimal because he wanted the victims, the people who are being chased,
Mhm.
he wanted all the soundscapes to sound like what a cow would hear, the cow's perspective of what it sounds like in a slaughterhouse.
Damn.
Interesting. Huh. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Because they're all being slaughtered and butchered.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's wild.
cool.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I was like, that's how you know you have a vision. Cause like I would have never thought of that.
Mhm.
I would have like no music. I wanted to sound like a slaughterhouse in this movie. Be like, what the fuck? Okay.
Sally screaming, running,
That girl.
runs to the farmhouse. She's tries to get in through the back door. Back door doesn't work. Runs out. And I like this part during this high speed chase sequence that Leatherface like overshoots the turn and he has to like skid like like the cartoon skid where
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
bounce and they have to like keep running forward. I thought
Yeah.
that shit was fucking hilarious. I don't know why they put that in there. It's just some
He's a lot-
silly goose shit.
He has a lot of force. Like he's a big dude. He's got
That's he
True.
never played ball because he's not good at pivoting. He doesn't have good lateral movement.
He just pure
Yeah, they
straight
don't-
force. Like you get him like in a straight line, he does really good, but like curves, he doesn't do good.
Yeah.
He's like the juggernaut. He just
Yeah.
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 Makes sense. I mean, he's over there clomping around.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do the little silly goose run. Sally ends up inside the house. She runs up the stairs. this is where she meets the grandpa, and who I assume is the grandma.
I think so, yeah.
But she's just decomposing. She's a decomposing body, and she's like, "Fuck this! What the hell is this?" Runs back down. This whole time, I guess she had locked the door because Leatherface can't get in. He fucking starts chainsawing the door, busts through, and then Sally does some fucking gangster shit. She jumps out of a 2-story window, which is crazy, and like doesn't break anything. And yeah, ends up taking off down the driveway, runs from the farmhouse all the way to the gas station, screaming at the top of her lungs the whole time. And this is where we finally get a break from the screams, because she runs into the arms of the old man. She thinks she's safe, but she's not. But yeah, what'd you guys think of this whole like chase sequence?
I said the same thing when she jumped out the window. I'm like, that's fucking gangster, dude.
Dude.
Like, she's like, fuck, she's down for the cause. And I think she does hurt herself, because we'll see later on she has a limp.
Mm,
And I think maybe just the adrenaline, she doesn't feel it right off the bat.
yeah.
Because when we see her start to run again, it's way later, because she gets like fucking knocked out or whatever. So maybe she did hurt herself. It just took a little while for her body to start to feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's still like in a frenzied state.
That whole time.
The whole time.
I did put number 1, Sally checks for fall damage. Unconfirmed. And then after that she has really good speed, considering she tanked a fall from a 2nd story. But like you said, I think it was definitely the adrenaline. But her speed is like all the way up, and she's still screaming like full scream. And Leatherface is kind of like right behind her the whole time, chasing her up until she gets to the gas station.
It's funny that during that chase scene, I guess, like Gunner was a lot faster than Marlon was. So that's I don't know if you guys noticed in the background, like Leatherface just starts like randomly like cutting branches with his chainsaw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I put that too. That
So he had to start doing shit because he was catching up to her too fast.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's funny.
Thomas's chainsaw gets stuck in some branches, but he wrecked Franklin. Just branches are tougher than Franklin.
Facts. I mean, they're made out of wood. Franklin's just some fat guy.
Franklin's made out of glass.
He's a glass cannon.
Well, the Leatherface cheated. He went straight for his gut. That's probably the softest part.
True.
Yeah, and it didn't show, but I don't know if he like maybe cut him in half. He went either up or down.
Damn.
He did like a Z, like the mark of Zorro.
Oh, he signed it.
Yeah,
Sally's in the warm embrace of the old man. She's freaking out. She thinks she's safe, but she's not, because the old man brings out some rope, and she tries to fight back, but turns out the old man is a fucking menace with the broom, and he's
goated.
Smacks the fucking, what is it, the knife? He smacks the knife out of her hand, and then just whacking the shit out of her, so much so that the broom breaks. Then he's just whacking her with a stick. Craziness. And I feel like it's at this point where after he captures her that this turns into like this goes from like your typical slasher film into like more of a psychological horror. Yeah, just me personally, I feel like we got 2 different movies, and I like this small detail in the movie. He puts her in the van or in the truck, and he gets in the truck, but then he's like, wait, and he goes back out. He turns off the lights and locks up, and he says, had to lock up and get the lights. Cost of electricity can run a man out of business. Just fucking, it could have been such an easy oversight to just have him get in and take off, but I like that little detail that they put in. Just another one of those small details that like makes it feel that much more real.
As running a business.
Yeah.
And that paper.
Yeah.
I wrote down the same thing. I'm like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's cool attention to detail.
so small. Like didn't even need to be put in there, but I noticed it. But yeah, the old man is just fucking with her during this drive. He's just like continuously poking her with the fucking broomstick. And then we get to like the last 20 minutes of the film, like the most unhinged part of the movie. The cook is driving up, or the old man is driving up, sees the hitchhiker who's finally getting home. And then this is where we find out that it was the hitchhiker that desecrated the graves in the beginning of the film. Because the old man is like beating him with broomstick, and he's telling him like, "I told you should have stayed away from that graveyard." He's like, "Oh, nobody knew it was me." Yeah, the fucking I love how the hitchhiker and like the hitchhiker and the old man like they're just always beefing it with each other. Like
Yeah, they don't
always
like each other.
yeah, they're hitting each other, they're fucking with each other. When they pull up to the house, the hitchhiker is fucking with the old man. He's like constantly opening and closing the door and like kicking the door and just being a fucking menace. And the old man says, like, "I told you not to leave your brother home alone." He's like, "Look what your brother did to the door." It's just like it's like they left a child home alone, and this fucking dude just fucked up the whole house.
Killed 3 people, fucked up the house.
I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, we get our first wardrobe change from Leatherface. He comes out as the old lady, and I like how he has like a tonal change in his voice. Yeah, during this whole scene, we see that the old man is like he's like in charge, I guess, of this little family. He's like trying to keep them all in check. This is where Leatherface has like the most quote unquote like lines, because he's like saying a bunch of gibberish at this point. He's like trying to explain to the old man like what the fuck happened while he was gone. Yeah. And like this entire part is just fucking chaos. Like super anxiety inducing. It almost felt like, and I said this earlier, but it felt like an episode of The Bear, because like so much shit is happening. Like Leatherface is going crazy. He's like speaking his gibberish. The old man's yelling. Fucking Sally's yelling. The hitchhiker is just fucking going crazy in the other room. Like it's just a whole bunch of nonsense at this point. We get Sally. She's at the dinner table. They bring the old man down, and the hitchhiker. Is it the hitchhiker or Leatherface? Someone cuts her finger, and they have the grandpa suck on the blood. The reaction that the grandpa has to sucking on her finger was just so, like, he was really enjoying sucking on that finger. Just like I wrote that he's enjoying it as much as Barbarella enjoyed having sex poor style, because he's like giddy, you know. He's like his feet are moving and like his hands are shaking, like he's having the time of his life.
He's in bliss right now.
And then
there's a few things that happen in this scene that I really like, where with the chaos, like a couple of lines that I wrote down, like when the uncle's like, he's getting in there, he's mumbling to himself, he's gonna beat the fuck out of Leatherface for fucking up for making a mess out of things.
Yeah.
And he's like explaining, he's like, "Oh, you got all of them?" And he's like, "Huh? Well, you fucked up the door." And then he just starts like beating on him. Like he's like, "Shit, all right, he did do a good job." He's like, "But you fucked up the door." And then I like how the hitchhiker, he goes up to Sally and he goes, "I thought y'all were in a hurry." Because that's what they told him. We're like, "Oh, we can't stop, man. We're in a hurry." And he just starts laughing at him like, "Oh shit, that's what, he's a fucking menace, dude."
Yeah.
I thought both those lines were, I was like, "Oh, that's good. That's good dialogue. Good callback to their conversation earlier."
Yeah, and there's just so much noise going on in this though. Like everyone is yelling. I think Sally is just constantly yelling through this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
She's and then bugging out.
And then the hitchhiker is saying lines to her, but then he's also like screaming with her at the same time. Like there's just so much chaos happening throughout this whole last portion of the movie.
My partner was like, "What the hell? That old guy's alive?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the big like what a twist of this movie."
Yeah.
That the grandpa's alive.
Fucking grandpa.
And he looks so like, he just looks like if you turned a person into sandpaper.
Yeah.
It's like a person made out of paper mache.
Yeah, he looks all kinds of fucked up.
But yeah, so after she got her finger sucked on, she faints. she finally wakes up and it's dinner time, or at least it's set up to be dinner time. We get another wardrobe change from Leatherface. He is now in his pretty woman costume. Went from old lady to pretty woman. And as soon as Sally wakes up, she just instantly starts screaming at the top of her lungs. Just like it causes Leatherface and the hitchhiker to be overstimulated. And they all start howling.
Everyone's overstimmed in this house.
They're just screaming. Screaming contest.
Yeah, and the old man's like, "You stop howling like a pack of wolves," or some shit like that. And they instantly start fucking with her. The hitchhiker is like mocking her, screaming in her face with her. They're just fucking with her this whole time. And we get a couple little pieces of dialogue from the hitchhiker. He's like, he's nothing. He's just a cook. He lets us do all the work. Basically saying that the old man doesn't kill. And yeah, Leatherface and the hitchhiker are the only ones that do the killing. But yeah, everyone's screaming. So Sally's screaming. This is where they make the decision, which is weird. I don't know why they decided this, but they're like, let's let Grandpa get this kill.
Yeah, because he's the best ever.
Yeah, he was the best ever. He did it. He would always do it in one swing. And they have this old man trying to hold on to this hammer. Sally screaming bloody murder the whole fucking time. So like her screaming just never stopped after she woke up.
Nope.
And I don't know. It's just one of those scenes that like in Midsummer when she finds out that her parents died and she's just constantly crying and crying, and that's all like you really hear is just her screaming. It's just so fucking unsettling and like ear piercing. But yeah, the old man is trying to fucking hit her in the head. He's obviously doesn't have the strength to do it, and so Leatherface is trying to help him. They end up bashing her pretty good.
Yeah,
once.
she gets a pretty good gash in her head.
Yeah, surprised there's no she wasn't fucking concussed from that. She breaks free. I don't know how, because her hands were like tied up, and then they weren't.
No, they were holding on to both their hands.
Oh,
And then the hammer drops, and they let go of her hands to go pick up the hammer, and then she just immediately bolts. Like that's her opportunity. And she gets up and books.
Yeah, she books, jumps out the window of the living room, and this part, it was like what the fuck. It was like a what the fuck moment, because like it's daytime.
Yeah,
because you feel like it's nighttime, when they're inside, and then you realize, holy shit, it's fucking daytime. I don't know, that's crazy. But this is a scene that where they had to get the blackout curtains to film, and so it was 120 degrees inside the house while they were filming this during this part.
That's crazy.
It's 120 degrees. The director's yelling at you. Sally's screaming full pitch. You got fucking Thomas making all kinds of crazy noises. Grandpa doing jack shit. Fucking hitchhiker also yelling. Like I can't imagine what it would be like being
all
there.
Bad.
Yeah, worse than Vietnam.
Be worse than Vietnam.
Yeah. So then we get into our second chase sequence. Sally, she runs down the road. Hitchhiker's right behind her. Leatherface is in pursuit. Hitchhiker is catching up to Sally, but can't like quite grab her. So he's like slashing her up. Her back's just getting fucked up.
I thought it kind of looked like he was trying to like just fuck with her. Like he was toying with her a bit.
Yeah.
I think he was slashing her with his little knife.
Yeah. But like he was enjoying it. Like he could have tackled her, but he was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna keep torturing her."
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, so they end up running out onto the main road. The hitchhiker's so like hyper focused on the task at hand, which is slashing, that he doesn't realize that there's a semi truck coming at full speed. Sally does like a quick like juke move and gets out of the way. And yeah, the hitchhiker gets fucking blasted by the semi truck, turns into a pink mist. The truck stops, and the driver obviously gets out to see what the fucking ruckus was about. And Truck driver sees that Sally's being chased by a dude with a chainsaw and a mask made of skin with makeup on it. It's like, nah, runs back to the truck, helps Sally up into the truck, which at this point, I don't know why they didn't just take off.
Yeah, I
Like,
said the same
they
thing.
could have
Yeah.
easily just taken off because
My
the
partner was
chainsaw
like,
wasn't.
"Why didn't they leave?"
Right? But they don't take off. They just go onto the other side of the truck, get out, run. We're shown that the truck driver grabs like that heavy duty wrench. But now Leatherface is chasing the truck driver, whose name is Ed Gein or Gwyn, and Sally, and then the truck driver fucking yeets the heavy duty wrench right at the head of Leatherface,
Fucking
causes
sniper.
Leatherface to fucking fall down. While he's falling, his chainsaw lands on his leg, chunks his leg up, um, causes a little bit of delay. Leatherface ends up getting up. Sally, in her fucking manic state, manages to get some random truck driver to pull over. She hops in the back. Meanwhile, the semi truck driver just continues to book it down the road, never to be seen again. Dude just rode off into the sunset like a fucking the hero that he is. Um, the truck takes off just in time before Leatherface can get to Sally. Sally's all fucked up in the back mentally. She's just like cry laughing. Her eyes, you can see the whites of her eyes, but she's just like covered in blood and just laughing
That's
maniacally
another
because
iconic scene.
yeah, dude. And then Leatherface is just left swinging his chainsaw around like a lunatic in broad daylight and scene. That's it. That's the fucking movie.
That's a good climax. The climax is
Dude.
so fucking good in this movie.
Yeah.
Love it. The
This
last
like
20 minutes is
high
so
anxiety
crazy.
like climax. And it just ends. It was good.
It was a fucking ride.
It was great. The dancing chainsaw with Leatherface. It's like him voicing his frustration was super cool.
Yeah.
And I forgot like how fucking yeeted the fucking the hitchhiker gets out of that fucking semi. It gets obliterated.
So what'd you boys think of the last 20 minutes of the film?
Oh, it's great, dude. It's great. The way it jumps from being just like this brutal killer to the family, like how they're just in that one room for like the last 20 minutes of the movie, and it's
Yeah.
just so horrendously fucked how maniacal these people are and how they're just fucking with her and like mentally torturing her and then building up the tension until they finally like kill her or try to kill her. The whole scene was fucking super cool.
Yeah.
Super good filmmaking. Very, very. I think it's for me, it's what made me go like, oh, I understand why this movie is so good. Because the beginning was like really cool, like, oh, this is terrifying, like slasher. But admittedly, I seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre after I'd seen Halloween and Friday the 13th and all those. So I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like a more gritty version of those movies. And then the like last half of the movie, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like this was like a fucking crazy twist.
Yeah. It like moves away from your normal slasher into something completely different. Where I think
Well, I think this stops it from being a slasher, in my opinion.
yeah.
Because I think
so it doesn't-
Halloween's credited as being the first quote unquote like slasher movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas this one, it has like it almost has like a slasher vibe in the beginning, but like the final act, just it's so like terrifying, and the emotion that I'm forgetting her name. She plays Sally.
Marlon
Marlon Burns.
Burns.
Marilyn Burns.
Marilyn Burns does such a great job of just acting like she's fucking terrorized throughout this whole thing. Like you mentioned at the end, you see the whites of her eyes. You see the whites of her eyes this whole final act because she's sitting at a table with like 4 lunatics. I forget the grandpa, but like 4 lunatics just doing all kinds of crazy shit. I think the ending is such a wild turn. It doesn't feel like old in any way. Like I feel like it's still like equally as jarring and like just disturbing when you watch it now. Like it's not too like removed and like you watch it and like, oh, this is like really old horror, you know, like it's not like that. It's definitely it does its job and I think it held up its job even though we're 50 years later.
Dude, 50 fucking years. Yeah, it definitely still holds up. So this is what IMDb has it like classified under. So its first tag is B horror, and then second is psychological. So it's a psychological horror before a slasher. So it's
I see that.
psychological horror, slasher horror, splatter horror, teen horror, and then horror.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I could see that.
Rotten Tomatoes gave this an 89%, and audiences gave it an 82%. So it is certified fresh.
Hell yeah.
IMDb gave it a 7.4 out of 10, and your boy Ebert gave it a 2 out of 4 stars, stating, "Now here's a grisly little item. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is as violent and gruesome and blood-soaked as the title promises. A real grand guignol of a film of a movie. I don't know what the fuck that word is. His
I don't know.
his
Phonetics.
Pinky up kind of guy. I'm telling you.
it's this. Let me put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
It's like Carla Gugino or whatever her fucking last name is.
What the fuck is
Yeah,
that?
she called it a real grand.
Guignol
Guignol.
is the main character in a French puppet show, which has come to bear his name. It represents the workers in the silk industry of France. Oh, so it's a period piece. I mean, I guess this
Yeah,
is
because it's about slaughterhouse workers.
yeah,
Mm.
this is a period piece. So yeah,
No, it's about a
Yeah.
period piece, but it is about a family of blue collar workers.
True.
yeah, during a period of time where their jobs
It's not a
have
period piece.
fucking died.
It's
It's not
folk
a
horror.
period piece.
Listen, Dale,
It doesn't take place in a certain period. It takes place in 1973.
that's the period of time of 1973. Dale.
That's the
The film
fucking
came out
period.
in 1974. Came
Yeah,
out.
so the period that it's covering is 1973.
You don't know what a period piece is. It's okay.
I don't.
All right, but yeah, 2 out of 4 stars. Ebert, it's on site.
It's
Fuck that
on
dude.
site.
He did say though that the acting and the technical execution was very good.
It was. I mean, considering what they had to go through, they all just like were professionals and really shined in their individual roles. Even if they didn't like have big roles, you know, like Kirk. That dude knows how to convulse. All right, I'm super interested to hear your guys' scores.
Let's do our reviews. Let's do it.
Yeah. Why don't you lead us, Dale?
All right, I'll start us off. All right, so I gave this movie an A minus. This movie rocks. It's super creepy. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. Out of all the big four, I think it's the one I've seen the third most. I think I've seen Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street more. I think it's probably out of the big four. I personally think it's the second best movie of the four. It is very good. It's harder, I feel, to recommend than the other four because of how like unsettling the movie is, but I feel like that's what makes it so good. The dinner scene is super fucked up. The acting is very good for it being a bunch of no-name actors, and the like sound design I think is incredible. It does a really good job of like keeping you like uneasy the entire time.
Yeah.
I understand why it's a classic, and I think out of all the movies from like this era of horror, I think it probably holds up the best. Because it doesn't, you can put anybody in that situation from any time period, and there's no like limitations on like we were talking earlier about how 4 is like, oh, it's talking about like social media people, so it's very much in that time and place. But this one is like the way that it's filmed and what happens to the people. It's like, oh, you could rinse and recycle the same story and it would work in like any period. It's the story is just that good. A minus. The unsettling nature of it definitely keeps it from being a solid A for me because it does creep me out, but very good. I would recommend it, especially if you're a fan of horror and you haven't seen this movie or you've only seen the newer ones. You got to check out the original.
Nice. Fuck yeah. What about you, Sam?
Hey, also, I as I'm thinking about this, I think all the movies that we cover during this spooky season are probably gonna have to be A's. Because
Yeah.
spooky runs in my blood. But this movie is a classic. I mean, you mentioned Texas Chainsaw to any like horror movie person, and everyone knows. If you know, you know. If you don't know, check it out. I will say it does depict some violence against women. It potentially paints a picture of people who are in wheelchairs as being kind of loose in their goose. And it has like a really specific kind of viewpoint. But if you can get beyond all of that, I think that it's such a good watch, and it holds up. Like the horror piece of it holds up till now. And I mean, it spawned so many other movies that have come after it. We're still talking about it now. There's still movies that are being created about it now. So you know that it's just made such a large impact in our like culture. So definitely check out this movie. Start off your spooky season with us by watching this movie because this movie was great.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure it's gonna come as no fucking surprise, but I give this movie A plus. I think
A
it's
plus,
like
first one of the pod.
like uh like the perfect horror movie. I think this movie does a really great job of balancing like a grotesque slasher film with psychological horror. We get, well, at least I feel like we get two different films wrapped up into one. Leatherface is and will always be my favorite horror movie icon. I don't know if it's because we both have a little bit of the tism, or if it's just we're both hefty boys, or if it's just because a chainsaw is such a loud and menacing weapon. Any one of those reasons are sufficient enough. But yeah, that's my fucking dude. I love Leatherface. I love being him for Halloween. That's my guy. The sights and the sounds of this movie really make for like a really unsettling time. Just as we said, like within the first 5 minutes of the movie, we're introduced to like these like macabre images of like decomposing bodies, and I fucking love that shit. And I don't want to gush over this movie too much, so I'm gonna keep it short. But yeah, A plus. Would highly recommend if you haven't seen this movie. Show this movie to your fucking grandparents, to your babies, to your pets, whoever is willing to sit and watch a masterclass on low budget filmmaking. Watch this movie with that person, or watch it alone. I don't know, whatever you want to do, but watch this movie. It's so good.
One little tidbit that I wanted to mention I thought is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This movie had a Jaws effect in that in Texas, crime fell by like 18% or something like that because people just stopped picking up hitchhikers.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you, Twan, for taking us through this journey to our first A plus movie of the pod. I was wondering how long it was going to take us to get to an A plus. It took us 25 episodes. As we said, guys, so it's spooky season. So there's not going to be a wheel this week. So next week we're going to cover my favorite horror movie of all time. We're going to be covering John Carpenter's The Thing. Love this movie. I'm really excited to talk about it with you guys and have the listeners' input. It's gonna be a fun ride. So tune in next week for that one. Just a quick reminder, guys, if you want to support the pod and donate, you can click the donation link at the bottom of each episode. If you can't donate, that's totally cool. We produce the pod for free. It's all for you guys. We love making the pod. We love coming here every week and talking about movies. So thank you for joining us. If you haven't followed us on our social medias, please do so. We are on X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube. As always, I have been your host, The Dale, followed by my two co-hosts, Mr. Saya
Bye-bye.
and Twan.
Every 19 years, there's a full moon on Halloween.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.